Yeah, buddy. We are back here on WLTH 1370 AM. That is 92.7 in the FM dial. It is December the 26th, 2025. 6:40 p.m. The future's here and the future's now, folks. We are just getting into the most important news stories of the year 2025. Number 10 was climate change. Number 9 was going on in Africa. Number 8 is Gaza. So it is time for number 7. What is our number 7 most important news story of the year 2025? Man, this one, it's only happened a few months ago. 3 months ago, actually. But it feels like a lifetime already. It's another one of those things where it just seems like this year is going by so fast that these things are just seeming so out of date, you know. The assassination of right-wing podcaster, commentator Charlie Kirk. On September the 10th, he was assassinated at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah, while speaking at an outdoor campus debate planned by his organization, Turning Point USA, which is a conservative youth organization he co-founded and led. He was 31 years old, a very close ally of Donald Trump, and a highly influential member of the MAGA movement. Now, this death, again, he was a podcaster, and I'm glad Dave Chappelle. I'm definitely going to watch Dave Chappelle's stand up this weekend. But the clips I've seen so far, he talks about how Charlie Kirk's importance in our society has been overinflated since he's been assassinated. With people comparing him to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. I am not joking. There are so many people who are arguing that he is the modern Martin Luther King. Hell, our Congressman, Frank J. Mervan, voted to honor Charlie Kirk, a man who thought the Civil Rights Act was a mistake and that Martin Luther King himself was a bad guy. Those are Charlie Kirk's direct quotes. A man who purposely engaged in sophistry when it came to issues of race and other issues to pander to a racist, sexist, xenophobic audience. And yes, even Frank Mervan voted to honor him. But that was because so many of our politicians were running scared in the days after Charlie Kirk's assassination, to the point where people were losing their jobs and losing all kinds of deals if they said anything, if they didn't adequately mourn the death of Charlie Kirk. Now, mind you, and I talked about this at the time, the Republicans, the right in this country, made fun of Trayvon Martin's death, a young black child who was going to the store to get some Skittles and iced tea and was stalked, harassed, and later killed by George Zimmerman. People like Charlie Kirk mocked his death, mocked George Floyd's death after he was murdered in front of the entire world on camera by Derek Chauvin, who thankfully is in prison, though I do think Trump will probably let him out pretty soon. I would not put that beyond Donald Trump. Keep it 100. They made fun of Breonna Taylor's death. These people make fun of every black person who gets killed by the police. Anytime anything bad happens to a black person, they racially attack them, racially abuse them. If they did something 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 100 years ago, they use it specifically to justify their slandering of this now deceased person. But when Charlie Kirk died, we saw a censorship crackdown that we have not seen in a very long time. And the justification was, well, you know, liberals cancel people too. And Lord knows I'm against liberal censorship too. I didn't support the type of censorship that was happening over COVID. I was a victim of it. I mean, if you've been listening to this show long enough, you guys know that I've lived long enough to be proven right about Dr. Fauci and about a lot of what went on in the rollout of the vaccine. That, you know, that was not what they said it was, and also the fallacy of the Ukraine war, which are also things that, you know, got people censored at the beginning of that conflict. And so I don't support censorship, period. It's a free country. Let adults be adults. If people want to hear Charlie Kirk or Joe Rogan or gangster rappers or watch The Sopranos and The Godfather or play violent video games, that is up to them. We have a First Amendment for a reason. And more importantly, we have a social contract of free speech as well, which is bigger than just the police not being able to arrest you because you have a political opinion. There's also a social contract that allows people to have free speech as well. That means your boss probably won't fire you if you have Black Lives Matter on your Facebook page or Instagram page or Twitter page. They probably won't fire you even if they don't like or agree with Black Lives Matter. You can support abortion and have a bumper sticker that says that you're pro-choice without worrying about getting fired from most jobs at Walmart or McDonald's or wherever you're working at. That is the social contract. And after Charlie Kirk's assassination, that contract was ripped up. There was a lot of censorship. It was used to justify censorship, and to this day is being used to justify a lot of very dark and sinister things. So I was not a fan. I know you can tell if you're listening, I was not a fan of Charlie Kirk's. I think a lot of what he did was pernicious. It's one of the reasons that I do this show, is to push back against people like Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes and other people who I think are dishonest and engage in sophistry, whether it's conservative or liberals, in the corporate media or in the independent media space. I don't think he should have been murdered, but even that has turned into a controversial thing because everybody's not so sure that he was murdered by the people that they say he was murdered by. So we'll see in the year 2026 how this case that is still unfolds, but it was one of the biggest news stories of the year 2025 just because of the fallout and the amount of censorship, mass censorship, and the amount of capitulation that the Trump administration demanded because of his passing. So that was number 7, the death of Charlie Kirk, which leads us to number 6. This is a perfect number 6. Well, we just talked about Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes and a lot of these people. It's important to understand that racism, the schism, is back in a big way. Oh yes, at least out in the open, we'll say that. Racism never went away from this country. Okay, this country was built on white supremacy, murdering the Native Americans, stealing their lands, obviously bringing us here violently as captives and enslaving us for hundreds of years, and then obviously exposing us to racial terrorism, like daily racial terrorism, even after slavery ended. You know, things like the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the Fair Housing Act, and other civil rights legislation actually sort of put a damper on some of it. Like we haven't been getting the raw racism that like our grandparents got, like my great grandparents who were run out of Mississippi by the Ku Klux Klan got. But as many people, particularly, I'm thinking of his name right now. What's his name? I forgot what his name is. As many had told us, racism was coming back in a big way, and you're seeing much more this supposed backlash to wokeness. Dr. Claude Anderson, that's what I'm thinking of. Dr. Claude Anderson told us that this generation of whites were going to be the most racist generation of whites since the Civil Rights Movement. And he said that back in 2000. And he also predicted that immigration was going to be used to push black people back from the second most powerful racial group in the country to the fourth, which is looking like it's going to become true. So Dr. Claude had a lot of foresight in these types of things, but he warned us about this. So we're seeing sort of racism and racist ideologies make a forefront. If you're on Twitter, which I am, you can get at me at The Chemist Lives. The Chemist is spelled with a K. Every day I'm exposed to bell curve racism, where there's the claims about how low Africans' IQs are, and that justifies the amount of colonialism and slavery that we have been exposed to over the last 400, 500 years. The world's richest man, Elon Musk, regularly stokes racial tensions by highlighting any crimes that he can connect to black people or Arabs, particularly Muslims, Hispanics. There have been, college campuses are cracking down on Zionism. If you say anything about the state of Israel, you can lose your college scholarship. You could lose your job because so many Zionists own and control our politicians. There's been race riots in Britain and Ireland. You have people like I said, like Nick Fuentes, who've made whole careers off of saying racist things about black people and about Muslims, and openly calls for a white ethno-state. That's something that you really did not see very much before. But for many years, conservatives felt the need to couch their racism and hide it. Now it's out in the open. Just this year, a racist white woman raised $1 million. She raised $1 million on GoFundMe because she called a 5-year-old autistic black child the N-word on the playground. And we've seen another woman raise tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars by now, because she racially abused a black Muslim couple at Cinnabon. These people go viral on the internet and they start raising hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars for these people just because they're racist. That's it. That's all they did was be racist in public. We just had the Vice President J.D. Vance speaking at Turning Point USA's event a few days ago, saying that you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. As if white people have ever apologized for being white. Like, where was this at? Where was I at when white people were apologizing for being white? Like, please let me know. Let me know where I was. Let me know where I was when white people were forced to apologize for being white. I'd like to see it. I'd like to know it. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some liberal white people who voluntarily apologize for being white, but that's mostly because, again, that's about placating black people and sort of feeding our egos so we don't actually try to dismantle the system of white supremacy and ask for and fight for things like reparations, which are due to us. So they put on some kente cloth and kneel like Nancy Pelosi, and you'll get a few Hollywood celebrities who will, make whatever little video about white privilege or whatever, so that we as black people go, oh, that's good. Those are the good white people. Let's not fight for reparations anymore. Let's not fight to do anything to actually change the economic and political system of the United States. And so that's really what all that is. But yes, racism is back in a big way. That is number 6. Let's go to number 5. 5. We talk about it a lot here, and we're going to talk about it a lot more in the near future, especially here in Northwest Indiana. Data centers. Data center madness has taken over the country. It's taken over the world. We are seeing already the type of economic, political, and environmental consequences of these major data centers popping up all over the world. The United States now has 5,426 data centers, more than all other major countries combined. There are $40 billion worth of data centers under construction, up 400% since 2022. Now, mind you, the people selling this to us are saying that they're going to create jobs. Data centers don't create a lot of jobs. Think about it. What jobs are they going to create? And they only after the construction, you'll just need janitors and people who are maintenance. That's it. Data centers don't create jobs, they kill jobs. The AI that they are creating is specifically there, that they are helping to maintain, is strictly there to replace you and placate you. That's it. Data center emissions are caused by the thousands of servers and IT devices that run on electricity generated primarily from fossil fuels such as coal, natural gas, and oil. They all release significant amounts of carbon dioxide, CO2, and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, contributing to global warming and climate change. That is why it is 75 degrees in some places on Christmas. Data centers' continuous operations generate significant heat, necessitating energy-intensive cooling systems to maintain optimal temperatures. Some data centers use water-based cooling systems, which can lead to substantial water consumption. An average Google data center, listen to this, an average Google data center consumes approximately 450,000 gallons a year. 400.
Damn.
Yes, 450,000 gallons of water per day. 450,000 gallons of water per day, every day. This constrains local water resources, especially in areas prone to drought or with limited supply. Overall, data cooling systems are responsible for over 40% of their electricity uses. Diesel exhaust from backup generators contains fine particles that cause health problems for people who are exposed frequently at high enough levels. When people inhale polluted air, particles embed in their lungs and bloodstreams, causing heart and lung disease. We already seen that in Memphis, where Elon Musk, again from X, has built a giant data center, and people in Memphis and in lower Tennessee are getting sick. According to the International Energy Agency, or the IEA, approximately 2,700 data centers in the United States accounted for over 4% of the nation's electricity use, a figure projected to rise by 6% by 2026, primarily due to the growing adoption of AI. That was just a few years ago. Now we have 5,000 data centers, so that's actually outdated, accounting for it right there. So yeah, they're trying to build data centers all here in Northwest Indiana that are, again, we already live in Cancer Alley, folks. We're already in Cancer Alley, folks. The amount of sickness. And yeah, these data centers cost a lot of money. They will, I'm sure, bring some jobs when they're under construction. After they're built, they are going to be used to take jobs, destroy jobs. AI is going to be, well, we'll get into that later. We'll get into that later, folks. We still got the top four stories of the year 2025. And of course, we're going to get into the people who we lost in the year 2025. But first, it's time for Happy Appies. Please stay with us here on WLTH 1370M. That's 92.7 in the FM dial. I'm Sky Cannon. This is straight out of the cannon. And we ain't going nowhere yet. We still got another hour. Please stay with us here on the Region's Choice, the People's Voice.